Boogie Beatdown coming at you, Paul, Cody, UFC Sacramento. Cody coming to you from the East Coast. We've never been so close to each other for most of the record. It's still like it's a good, healthy 3.5 hours, I would imagine, from door to door, from where you are to where I am. So, how are you enjoying vacation there, Coates?
Yeah, so my apologies, different setup, bit of a tacky setup here, but all the same, yeah, no, we're on vacation with the kids in Prince Edward Island. So I imagine at some point in history there was a ultra rich guy named Prince Edward and probably owned this island. But like Paul's saying, we flew into Halifax and then rented a car and then drove from Halifax out here. It was like 3 hours. And Paul doesn't quite live right next to the airport, so it probably would be like a 3.5 hour door to door. Would have been nice to get together.
I live closer to the airport than Halifax, to be honest. So.
Oh, wow.
I'm actually only 20 minutes from the airport. And he didn't even contact me to say he was flying into Halifax.
Whoa. First of all, I did contact you about a week and a half ago. I was like, hey, man, we're going to the East Coast if you're free. And you're like, yeah, I think I'll take like a day trip, get the pup, go out. But then, as you know, you've been dealing with your house and trying to get it sold.
Dealing with my house. It's
having a handyman. So I was like, listen, we talked about it. Offers on the table. More than welcome to come out. But I'm not going to force it to get a... Listen, I got too much stuff going on. Because I understand you got a lot of stuff going on. So, get that house sold and then we'll be able to hang out on the beach, bud.
I'm actually heading out to PEI in 2 weeks' time with Mayo for some golf tournament. Somebody pulled out and they're like, apparently the guy was terrible at golf. And Pat's like, I know someone who's terrible and will pay for this. So that's kind of like my end of like home fixing little like hiatus before we get into the whole selling process. But yeah, so it's like next Thursday, not Thursday coming up this week, but the following Thursday, I'm heading up to where you are right now.
The golfing here is pretty nice, I'm told. So I actually talked to Pat. I was like, oh, I'm going to be there from the 17th to the 24th. And he's like, oh, I fly in the 25th. So again, timing didn't quite work out, but I got kids out the wazoo. So, it's all every day is taking them to, I don't know. There's like, I'm sure if you lived here, eventually you'd be like, there's nothing to do. But as a tourist, there's tons of stuff to do. So, yeah, we got UFC Sacramento. There is 13 fights. We are on a bit of a schedule, so I'm not going to waste too much time. Hopefully just hit the valid point, hit the winners, and then we can move on. Tricky card in some spots, but, deservedly so favorites in others. So, yeah, we just got to make sure everyone does their job. Last week was a bit of the big favorites were losing. Some of them were winning until they weren't anymore. Mikolai Orlobay, I don't think anybody saw that one coming, especially like down 2 rounds as bad as Jeremiah Wells was. And then Contender Series last night was actually much of the same. 2 biggest favorites on the card both got smoked. So it's a sport where you obviously need the bounces, you need the luck, and you just need everyone to do the right thing. 13 fights going to be hard to get all of them, but as long as we can get that core group, I'll be happy with it.
Yeah. Make sure you get some lobster while you're there. They have like these little like huts where they've got like little baskets off of the back of it, fresh out of the ocean.
Yeah, that's where I learned. When you get to the airport, they'll box you up lobster with ice and give you to carry on, and you can just bring lobster home. So
like I imagine probably 5 minutes from where you are right now, there's some dude selling lobsters because Prince Edward Island, not a very big place. It's pretty easy to get to the coast from wherever you are. Because it's an island and not a particularly big one. Anyway, we wasted enough time. But yeah, that's how I learned about death when I was a kid. My dad bought a bunch of lobsters. We were in Cavendish PEI, which is like the Anne of Green Gables area. Either way, we bought some lobsters and then we boiled the lobsters. And I was just like, when you boil them, the actual sound is actually like oxygen leaving like their claws and stuff like that. It's like a high pitched like a little screech or whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like they're screaming, but it's air leaving.
Yeah. So I was just like, Dad, what is that? And he's just like, that's the lobster crying for our enjoyment. That's how I learned about death. I was like 5 years old.
Okay. Put a little butter on there, make the lobster feel better.
It did not die in vain. I will tell you that much. Delicious. I mean, you got to do that. You got to do that for the kids. Boil some lobster. If you're at an Airbnb and you have all of the stuff to cook that up. Anyway, we wasted enough time talking about PEI. time codes for anybody being like, just get over to the fights, boys, because we are getting over to the fights right now. Around the 5-minute mark, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez takes on Gregory Rodrigues in the main event, minus 170-ish for Fluffy. The comeback on G-Rod is like plus 140 right now. This is a fight that I really think that I think that the books and the market is pretty freaking accurate on this right now. I mean, there's one of two ways that this fight probably goes. It's like Fluffy puts a pace on him, and we saw it in the G-Rod fight against Cannonier. It's just like, if you put a pace on this guy, he's not probably going to be able to hang around in rounds 4 and 5, 3, 4, and 5. And like Fluffy puts on a pace more than Cannonier that, if Fluffy can survive the early exchanges as this fight wears on, I mean, I just don't really see G-Rod being able to keep that pace. On the flip side, if G-Rod lands an absolute nuke early and gets an early knockout win, nobody's going to be surprised by that either. I would be tempted, Fluffy, I think, is probably a better live bet at the because G-Rod's probably going to have some success early. I'd struggle. I mean, I guess Fluffy could just take him down immediately and rinse and repeat, but G-Rod would probably have some success. He's so physically strong early that pre-flop, for me, if I were to bet it, would be like I don't think I'm going to bet it, but it would be like a G-Rod KO type of one of the early rounds type of situation. But I look at this and I'm just like, I think they got it pretty damn right. And even you look at the total over 3.5, your butt maybe pucker, plus 170 on an over 3.5 in a Fluffy fight. Like, I mean, he extended Michel Pereira all that distance. Another guy who kind of gasses, is explosive, everything like that. So if I were to click something, it would be that. But like, your butt's going to be puckered at certain points, and G-Rod could totally get him out of there early. I hate being like, oh, the market's pretty accurate. There are plays on this card that I have made bets, but like I keep kind of looking at this one and being like, man, it all kind of seems pretty accurate to me. Both of these guys have legitimate paths, and I think like a 60-40 split is probably pretty accurate. But for the sake of the show, I'll say G-Rod, but very hesitantly. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think you nailed it, really. Both guys got a viable path to victory, and both guys are a tad bit inconsistent. Like Gregory Rodrigues, on one hand, he's the far superior striker. He's the biggest middleweight in the division. You talk about the path of victory for Fluffy Hernandez being taking him down, but not that Rodrigues has fought a whole lot of wrestlers, but he doesn't really have a tendency to get taken down and held down. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's a former champion black belt, so like he knows how to grapple, certainly. And although we've seen guys take him down a little bit in the past, I mean, Jared Cannonier got him down one time on 3 takedown attempts, had about 2 minutes of control time. Roman Kopylov got him down 2 for 2, but had like 30 seconds of control time. Like no one's really gotten this game plan of I'm going to take him down and hold him down for the entirety of it. As I said, he's a big guy. He's hard to take down. And if you do manage to take him down, it's not like he's a fish out of water there by any stretch of the imagination. So he keeps his fight standing against Fluffy Hernandez. Yeah, no doubt he wins it on the feet. But as you mentioned, it's a 5-round fight. Being that Gregory Rodrigues is, once again, the biggest middleweight on the roster. The guy is gigantic. The tough weight cuts are going to play a factor. If you can extend him, if you can get him into around 4 and 5, similar to a Jared Cannonier, then that's when you're going to take over. But it's going to be hell standing early, and I don't know that Fluffy can go through that. I'm a Hernandez supporter, always have been. I really like his style. Just rinse and repeat with the takedowns, mat return, exhaust his opponents, and then try to open them up. We all know how good his submission game is. Even though you're a black belt, he submitted Rodolfo Vieira. So if he tires you out, he can get that submission going. The problem is, it's not like he's chinny as much as he's soft to the body. Like Kevin Holland finished him with that knee to the body, 39 seconds. Way ago. But you mentioned the Michel Pereira fight. The Michel Pereira fight, he gets toppled over in the first round and very nearly finished from a shot to the body. Once that doesn't materialize and it gets extended, that's where he takes over. But he's soft there. And then in his last fight with Sean Strickland, 2 things concerning. One, of course, he gets hit to the body. He gets hurt. He goes down. That's it. More concerning is, like, here's a guy that's built his entire career on wrestling. How he wins fights is wrestling. He gets 8, 9, 10 takedowns per fight. And yet you're taking on Sean Strickland. Not that he can't wrestle, but You're taking on a guy that obviously his game plan is going to be stand up, and he's beating you up in every single round. And Fluffy Hernandez attempted one single takedown. Did someone get in his ear? Did someone say, "Hey man, we want to see you stand more"? Did he have a bad weight cut? Did he get hurt to the body?
You're not getting a title fight if you try to do this rinse and repeat takedowns.
Yeah, because as much as like I find it exciting because I'm making money off of it, it's like for the UFC, it's like, hey, you're dragging guys like Michel Pereira into the 5th round. You're taking on a lot of these guys. Not that they're not finishes in the end, like him versus Roman Dolidze. He finishes him in the 4th round, but all it is you just putting on a killer pace on these guys, exhausting them, and then once they tire out, you grab a submission.
Which is entertaining. Like if somebody's getting in their ear about that, like it's not entertaining. Like he's finishing decent guys.
He's finishing decent guys, but and I'm guilty of this myself. It's like you're beating guys that really aren't on that upper echelon level. So you're beating a Michel Pereira or a Roman Kopylov. Even in his fight with Brendan Allen, he lost the 1st round, and then in the 2nd round, Brendan Allen suddenly couldn't get his takedowns going and started to tire, and Hernandez takes over. He's got some quality victories, but when you mentioned the live betting, he drops the 1st round in a lot of these fights. He lost the 1st round to Allen. He lost the 1st round to Michel Pereira. He obviously lost all of the rounds to Sean Strickland before getting finished. Even in his fight with Roman Dolidze, it's competitive early. Just the longer they go, he finds a way to break you down. So from a live betting purpose for this fight, if he loses the 1st round, you get a plus money number on this. If you can get him after the end of 2nd or the end of the 3rd, then that's when he's going to come alive. But you don't take that risk that he's just going to get finished in the 1st, which is entirely possible. Gregory Rodrigues hits sufficiently hard. If he goes to the body, you never know what to expect on him. And yet, it's just very concerning to me that your entire game is predicated on multiple takedowns. Staying chest to chest, staying in this clinch, getting the hip ride, getting the back take. And yet, against Sean Strickland, biggest fight of your career, headlining spot, main event, you shot one single takedown. Now, after that fight, he decided to go train with Sean Strickland, and he's over in Las Vegas now. He's still representing Sacramento, which is why he's headlining this fight night card. But instead of staying at the MMA Gold team, he decided to go down to Las Vegas and get some quality work. And who better to work with than the guy that just whipped your ass? So, we talked about Dante Johnson last week, one of the few guys that did come through for me, but it's sometimes getting some better training partners and guys that can push you in the gym is going to be a big thing. When you look at Fluffy Hernandez's career, he's been the big dog in that room for his entire career. He's the best guy he's training with. So going into a room full of ranked middleweights and guys that want to take your spot, guys that have already defeated you and they know your style, like that's all just going to help to improve him. He's still young. He's still got best cardio in the division. He needs to really apply that here, but it's easier said than done. So for me, I got Fluffy Hernandez late fight stoppage, but yeah, like you said, puckered. Oh yeah, you'll be puckered for this one.
You're on with Fluffy?
Yeah.
I mean that over 3.5, I think is like if you want to go down that path. Over 3.5 is like plus 170, as high as plus 177. He could finish him in round 3, of course. I mean, Fluffy puts a pace on anybody. It's definitely a lot, but I think that would be the way to go about it pre-flop. Otherwise, bet Hernandez live. Because, like, even looking at like these rounds 3, 4, and 5 props, it's like, the market knows that this is a very like diametrically opposed type of fight, right? It's like either G-Rod gets him out of there early, or it it turns into a Fluffy fight. So, yeah, it's like round 5 is like 15-1, round 4 is like 12-1, and round 3 is like 9-1 or something like that. It's just like, it seems about right. They did a good job. Good job, books. Not leaving too much meat on the bone here. Moving on down, we've got heavyweights, middle lane heavyweights. Vitor Petrino taking on Sergey Spivak. Petrino is a minus 145 favorite to come back on Sergey Spivak, plus 125-ish. Where are you at with these guys?
Yeah, so I guess similar to a couple of weeks ago, we saw Alexander Rakic move up to heavyweight and take on Marcin Tybura. And it's not like he's, infinitely that better of a fighter. Just the one thing that really jumps off is the speed advantage. There's a massive speed advantage. Being that Rakic is an athletic guy and he's a 205er, and moving up to heavyweight, if you're going to give him these slow, lumbering heavyweights, that you're going to have that speed. Mind you, he didn't really use the speed advantage. It was mostly the clinch warfare type of fight. But that's what Vitor Petrino brings up. We've seen this in the past, Paul. It's like heavyweight's a bad division. And what makes it bad is a lot of the guys are slow and unathletic. And so you'll get one of these bigger 205ers that can, in theory, come in around 230, 240 and be a lot more mobile. He beats them to the punch, and that's kind of what Petrino's done. I wasn't a big fan of this guy at 205 pounds, and yet because they've given him they've laid out an easy path at heavyweight, he's been taking advantage. Thomas Peterson, guy's a junior college national champion wrestler. It's probably 1-1 going into the third, but he doesn't have to throw much because he's faster than you. So he just waits for you to enter the pocket, trying to come forward on him, and then he'll time you with that one big shot. So with Steve Asplund. Steve Asplund just overwhelms guys with volume, constantly coming forward and constantly just putting up these high numbers. That's fair. Thing is that Petrino's way faster than him, so he just dodges out of the way, allows you to swing at air, counters you, and has himself a decent performance there. His cardio is not good. His ground game, it's okay. Again, he's one of these black belt guys. He's physically strong, but biggest thing is that at 205, he has to work a lot more. His opponent's also got some speed. His opponent's attempting to put up some volume and can catch him on some shots. He's got to work. At heavyweight, you'd think, well, moving these big bodies around is going to be a problem. Yeah, but he's not cutting any weight, and he's a lot faster than them, and that's been really utilized well by him. When I look at Sergey Spivak, similar to the Marcin Tybura from a couple weeks ago, he's slow and plodding. Yeah, he's a big guy, but he's a big guy that usually wants to get his takedown game going. Again, he's a grappler primarily. He's got some okay submissions, but when you look at his run, he's 2-3 in his last 5 fights altogether. But the wins are Marcin Tybura and Ante Delia, who are a little bit slower, a little bit plodding, and are going to stand in front of him. Here, he's going to have to track Vitor Petrino. I think can move laterally, use some footwork, evade, and then just counter him with those shots. And to that effect, Spivak's never really had that great of a chin. He struggled against faster fighters. He struggled against power punchers. And though Petrino's not going to land some big combination, just he's got enough one and done power that he just got to sit on that one shot at a time, wait for the opening, hit the counter. So because I'm not a huge fan of him, and he is technically, up a weight class, it's hard to get behind Vitor Petrino. But at minus 140, I don't think the price is all that bad. For Spivak, it's he doesn't really win a whole lot of these striker versus striker matchups. He's got to get the guy down. A guy like Waldo Cortez Acosta, mind you, he's a good boxer and he's a volume guy, just dances circles around him. Jailton Almeida, I get it's a takedown, but Jailton Almeida don't finish nobody. And the way that fight starts is Spivak gets the takedown. Spivak takes Jailton Almeida's back. Jailton Almeida reverses into him, takes him down, and Spivak just waves the white flag. So I don't think his endurance is good. I don't think his cardio. I don't think his chin. I don't think his durability. All of those things are not really his strong suit. But he's a really big body, and if he gets on top of you, it's going to be a problem. If Thomas Peterson was struggling to get this guy to the ground and really couldn't do it, I don't think Spivak's wrestling is going to be any better. He'll struggle just the same. And when he doesn't get the fight at the ground, it's going to be punchy kicky versus a guy who's moving a lot faster than you, hits a lot harder than you, and should be able to rack up a little more volume. So I got Petrino to win this thing for better or for worse.
I'm going the other way. One, Cody, friends don't let friends bet on dudes who got subbed by Anthony Smith.
Yeah. The guillotine, standing guillotine.
I know Spivak, the polar bear. I mean, it's a very apt nickname, right? It's wow, the ferociousness, maybe not so much, but slow, plodding. But I haven't been overly the Absalon wins, I don't know. I wasn't all that impressed. Austin Lane is the biggest layup in the division, and he really didn't do that much, didn't throw that much. Thomas Peterson, round 3, only got up to 32 significant strikes, getting that third round finish against Peterson. And Peterson looks like an absolute mess at the UFC heavyweight as he moves up the ranks, or as he kind of flounders around the bottom of the tank in the heavyweight division. I don't know. Watching Asplund versus that Brazilian a couple weeks ago, it makes that Petrino performance kind of look even less impressive, to be perfectly honest. He was knocked down. I think he's got chin issues, and he's taken on a solid gatekeeper, I suppose, in this division. At plus money, I took a small shot on Spivak plus 133 just before we got on air here, and then I'll probably have a slice of plus 600 Spivak sub because Anthony Smith subs you. Maybe the polar bear can get you down there and find a sub as well. But the durability concerns, I feel like Petrino's time is coming. I understand that he's faster, everything like that, but this is not a guy at 205 I had high hopes for. Rakic is a guy that is we had high hopes for. He was, always kind of just on the outside looking in for title contender. being subbed by Anthony Smith and then getting sent to the shadow realm by Dustin Jacoby. Like that was a pretty bad run that kind of forced him up to heavyweight. He's been on a decent run here, but he's still showing signs, like getting knocked down by Asplund. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to lay chalk or lay any sort of minus number on Vitor Petrino in this matchup. So we will find out on Saturday. But little disagreement on the co-main event. I can't believe that's the co-main event. As I've said multiple times in some of these cards recently, it's just like you could kind of scatter these guys around any which way, and nobody's gonna lose any sleep over it. But I digress. Well, sound like
no, you're right. I was just going to use a little anecdote. I can't get the guy's name because of contract reasons, but a friend of mine is attempting to get into the UFC, and the UFC is like, hey, you can go the Contender Series route where maybe we can find you a slot, and it's a 5,000 plus 5,000. And then if you win and Dana's impressed and you're gifted the contract, then you're likely going to be on a 10,000 and 10,000. If they like you, they give you a 12 and 12. If you sign directly into the UFC without having to go Contender Series, it's a 12 and 12. MVP just offered him a contract for 25 and 25 for the very first fight of his deal. So he's making more than twice as much money. Like a 25 and 25, you get $50,000 if you win. Your UFC entry level contract is 12 and 12. You get $24,000 if you win. So gone is the age of these are the best guys in the world. They're not. They're just the willing guys that are willing to fight for cheap, who are willing to throw their game plans out the window and just stand and bang for somebody's pleasure, and then get cut after a 1-3 run and go back to the regional scene where they'll make $2,000 until they decide to retire with early onset dementia CTE. So I feel bad saying it. I really do. But these cards, you can put them in any order. There's no star power. There's no we're building up this next generation of intriguing guys. They give you a good main event, and then they throw you a bunch of people who are willing to throw down for no money. So that's what we're getting. Mind you, we're about to talk about Reinier, Roman Dolidze. They're making a bunch of money, right? So maybe that's a bad example. But yeah, once you get lower down in this card, it becomes a bit of a mess.
I think the gamble really is like, yeah, you can make more money with MVP maybe in your first fight, but how long are they going to be like? That's the risk I suppose you take. And then you could be like Fazil, who takes the MVP fight, makes the MVP money, then goes on Contender Series and gets knocked out.
That was crazy.
That was great.
Well, from anybody.
I mean, that's an octagon champion. What was he doing being a plus 155 underdog last night? Like, I can understand how it'd be a pick'em. The fight, frankly, up until round 3 was playing out a little bit more like a pick'em than 60-40. The knockout round 3 was so vicious, though.
Well, yeah, better than anybody with Kike Brito. If you do not have striking defense, fighting Kike Brito is always going to be a risky proposition because he throws bombs from the
crazy
hip
stuff.
Yeah, bro, for sure. And then you got
to be able to wrestle, and Fazil really hadn't shown much of an ability to wrestle. That's how Oba and Elliott was able to get over on Kike Brito.
Yeah, Kike Brito almost killed him in the second round.
Against Ronnie Paradiser over in Octagon.
You just had to bring that up, didn't you? Killed him.
It's just like over and over. Like you're watching that fight and you're like, one of these times he's going to land that spinning back fist. Like you got to assess the fact that you haven't got killed by it yet, but it's just like, it's coming. It's coming. The longer you stay in there, it's just like, he may look like he's getting tired, but he's still able to land with absolute pop. Just crazy stuff. You'd never train somebody to fight that way, but good for him. I mean, that guy has put in the work to get that UFC contract. It's not one of these, they're 5-0 and then they got an absolute softball matchup. Like he got a hard matchup on his both Contender Series fights in terms of UFC level. And he's, been in the trenches and Octagon fighting all of Europe's best talent, 20-6. But it's just that's a tried, tested, and true 20-6. He's ready to fight at this level.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. It was the second time on the Contender Series. He's a 2-time Octagon champion. He's got 20 pro wins, like 20-6 record. And then what's his style? He throws Hail Marys on first down. So it's like, this is the guy that you want. And a guy like him, listen, if he comes with that fight last night, dude, it was insane. It was insane. You know what he got paid? $10,000. So it's like, it's not worth it. But to your point, yeah, now you go to the UFC. If you can do that one time, then you'll get $24,000, but you get $3,000 from Venom. That's $27,000. Plus, you want a $100,000 fight of the night bonus or a $25,000 for finishing the guy, and they throw you another $50,000 because it's a performance bonus. Then all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, making $100,000 US for one fight, as opposed to having 2 fights and needing to win both of them in an organization like MVP. So the long run is you want to bet on yourself.
It's trying to get the second contract. Like that's the real deal with UFC. That first contract, you're betting on yourself. And fighters, everybody, for better or worse, their egos are very, very high, right? You have to be, I guess, to step in the cage like that. But they're betting on themselves, and the UFC knows that they're betting on themselves, and that's why they give them such, piddly contracts. And then, the third fight of that contract, typically they'll probably give you something a little bit above your pay grade. And if you don't pass that, then they have all the negotiations. It's a whole system at this point.
It's a business, end of the day.
It is what it is. All right, Reinier de Ridder takes on Roman Dolidze. Reinier, a minus 400 favorite to come back on Roman, plus 300. And rising a bit, I suppose. Where are you at with this one?
Well, yeah, just the money line feels off, but I feel like otherwise it's a fight that Reinier de Ridder should win. This guy burst into the UFC. It looked like he was going to be, everyone's darling, next challenger at 185 pounds, but there's no denying it, man. The guy is gigantic. And so, yeah, he says the weight cuts to 185 are killing his performances, and it's hard to disagree with that. His fight with Brandon Allen, he was looking pretty good. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, how did this guy evaporate so quickly? Well, he says his body shut down. There's a medical term for it, but I guess it's like, legitimately he was sick. So then he comes back against Caio Borralho. Well, he's still got to make that same weight cut. And so what's changed? And he does make the weight, and he kind of looks a little bit better, but again, it's like he runs out of juice quick. Even when you watch back his win over Robert Whittaker, it's much of the same. Like, he wins the 5th round by holding him up against the cage, but outside of that, he's done, hanging out in the pocket. He's done throwing volume. He's just got a step in knee to a clinch to push him up against the cage, spams a little bit of cage control time, wins the 5th round, ends up winning the fight. But
losing that really like off.
Say it again.
I said losing that Whittaker fight pissed me off as a Whittaker bettor.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Whittaker won, being that he scored the knockdown. He's landing the more damaging blows. I had it 2-2 worst case scenario going into the 5th round. And then even in the 5th round, I thought Whittaker landed the more damage, more than this guy's pushing you into the cage. But Whittaker's a guy that had fought at 170 and then had won a world title at 185. And then he recently just made his light heavyweight debut, and Joe Rogan spent the entirety of the fight calling him fat. So Reinier de Ridder is twice his size. He really is. And he was able to just control him. But his striking is like, it's very robotic, like I don't think any boxing coach out there would be telling you to wing punches like that. Like, he's got his own quirky style. And although Kike Brito's got his own quirky style, and it's highly unorthodox and it's hard to get timing on, like, Kike Brito throws mad heat. He's got a good jab. He's got a nasty right hand. He's got a dirty left hook. Reinier de Ridder's got a step in knee. That's it. Like, by way of him being a big guy, he can throw some hands. I suppose if he lands, it would do some damage, but he really doesn't set anything up. Technically speaking, he's not a well-refined striker, but he's a big body. That step in knee is money. And then it's jiu-jitsu. His jiu-jitsu is quite good. So being able to take down Brandon Allen and control him for as long as he did before he gassed out is impressive, I suppose. The 2 takedowns over Caio Borralho, who's another, quality Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, being able to have some success. That was a close competitive fight as well. That it feels like maybe at 205 pounds without the weight cut, you might see the best version of him, or at least a better version of him. The tricky thing there is that now his one gift is his size, and now you're taking that completely away from him. So the fact that they've gotten Roman Dolidze, who made his UFC debut at 205, but he's a middleweight. He's a middleweight in every sense of the word, and he's a little bit older. He probably does not want to cut the weight also at this stage of his career. So it's like, let's just take 2 middleweights and have them fight at 205. Only one of them's asking to fight at 205, and physically looks like he needs it. The other guy's just his willing dance partner. So for Reinier de Ridder, again, you're taking down Robert Whitaker, who's a quality wrestler. You're taking down Kale Barahal. You're taking down Brendan Allen. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he should be able to take down Roman Dolidze. And if he does, and he doesn't gas, it's his all day. If this ends up being a striking match, like Roman Dolidze throws heavy, but at 205, I don't think the power's really going to translate. I think most of his knockout wins at middleweight were over guys that had durability issues to begin with. And this is not a 5-round fight. So, like, you're not just going to beat this guy up, wear him down, and then take over the longer it goes. He's probably going to be up 2 rounds on you, and then you're punching from behind. So you go back to that Anthony Hernandez fight, especially because most guys don't really try to wrestle Roman Dolidze. He's not trying to wrestle them. They're not trying to wrestle him. Again, every week we talk about everyone's a black belt. Roman Dolidze is a BJJ black belt. But that Fluffy Hernandez fight in particular, it's like Fluffy just starts taking him down. Roman tries to power his way up. And then once you start hitting those mat returns, you see him just get massively deflated. I think that's what will likely happen here as well. I do see Reinier de Ridder getting the takedowns. He just needs them in the first and second round and then avoid them in the third. If he can do that, he's going to win a decision. If not, he might be able to catch a submission or something like that if he's really able to dominate and establish some top positions. So, yeah, I got RDR to pull the victory out here, snap the 2-fight winning streak. The thing is that you got a guy who's, again, he's lost his last 2 fights. He's now moving up a weight class. He's looked like he's got awful gas tank issues. And now he's a minus 400 over a fairly proven commodity who scrapped some of the best guys in the division. And, win or lose, Roman Dolidze usually puts forward a decent effort and, makes it a competitive enough fight. So if this thing's going to be competitive, why would I want to pay minus 400 on it? But all the same, I do think the ground game is a key to victory, and he should be able to get the win.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to, which Roman shows up a lot of the times. I mean, you make good points with the grappling. Is Reinier, is it going to fix his gas tank? Is it going to help him? 3 rounds really helps, I think, because it's tough to get Roman out of there. 5 rounds, I know I would be like, okay, well, that's a lot of man to muscle around for 5 rounds. Maybe Reinier slows down a little bit here. But that little run that Dolidze went on against Anthony Smith. I mean, Anthony Smith is what it is, right? But Kevin Holland, I mean, he beat the crap out of him. I mean, the stats won't really tell you that, but it was basically Holland was dunzo after round 1.
He broke his rib.
But Dolidze was the stats will say 19-18, but it was just there was one guy who was an absolute man in there. I mean, one guy fights at 170, one guy's fighting at 205 now, so it's size matters. But it's that Vittori fight. That's the real outlier in all of this. Now, Vittori's always been the Vittori rematch, that is. That was kind of the strange one because it's just Roman, where did this guy come from? Putting up 141 significant strikes over the course of 5 rounds. It's there was no takedowns attempted. It was just a striking affair. In that type of situation, I mean, I think this fight's a lot closer than the line would indicate. For a betting perspective, I mean, it is damn hard to get really either one of these guys out of here most of the time. I know Reinier de Ridder's masterpiece was the Bo Nickel fight, which still seems kind of puzzling to this day as well. Both these guys, ceiling fights, pretty solid. Basement fights looking pretty ugly. I think the best bet is the over 2.5, which is minus 145. Yeah, let's just see here. Total minus 137, over 2.5. That's how I'm playing this. Again, you know me, I like dogs, but I'm not playing all the dogs, but I won't be clicking Reinier de Ridder. The question becomes, I'll wait until weigh-ins, watch everything. Maybe the market wants to continue to grow. On this money line, it would be dog or pass, but my preferred play is the over 2.5 between the two of these guys. Not really big time finishers, and I think that's a very, very fair over 2.5 in this fight. If Reinier wants to take him down, is he going to sub him? Probably not. Is he going to pound him out? He's not really that kind of guy. He needs you to death gas, and Roman, for all the things that he lacks, he's pretty good at surviving in those types of positions. You know what I mean? So I would think that an under would probably be more tied to Roman Dolidze than Reinier de Ridder. So over 2.5 is my preferred play on this fight. Moving on down, we've got Marquel Mederos taking on Mason Jones. Mason Jones is a minus 275 favorite to come back on Mederos plus 228. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I got Mason Jones all day. It helps that he trained a long time at Team Alpha Male as well, and the Sacramento crowd should be behind him, and Uriah Faber is going to walk him out to the cage, and this, that, and the other. But I just think he's better all around. The thing with Marquel Mederos,
he just finds a way to make things close.
yeah, man. All of his fights are just super close, and then the judges like whatever it is that he's doing. But a lot of these fights, like his UFC debut against Lando Quinones, it was pretty close. So they scored for him. His next fight against Austin Hubbard, you and I actually took a little bit of plus money on Austin Hubbard, being that Marquel Mederos doesn't really seem like he excels in any one, element of fighting. And Hubbard's a savvy veteran. Maybe he can make something happen. And honestly, once Hubbard starts getting takedowns in that second round and starts controlling him, it's like, oh yeah, this is easy money Hubbard. Third round, he can't quite get the takedown. He eats a couple bigger shots. It's a super close fight against a guy in Austin Hubbard, but again, they give it to Marquel Mederos. His very next fight against Mark Choinsky. Mark Choinsky took the fight in a few days' notice.
Yeah.
And yeah, he can wrestle a little bit and he can grapple a little bit. And then certainly in that first round, he's able to get the takedown, he's able to get the back take, but he took the fight on a few days' notice, and so he gasses, and Marquel Mederos is able to take over. Well, that brings us to the Chris Padilla fight. Okay, well, I load up on Chris Padilla. I think he's a better striker. I think he's a better grappler. I think he's a better all-around fighter than Marquel Mederos, and the fights are just close. And as a result, this thing ends up getting ruled a draw. I don't know. You could have argued he lost the Austin Hubbard fight, but he won the split decision. You could argue that he lost the Chris Padilla fight, and yet he somehow ends up with a draw out of all of it. The Choinsky fight, the guy's on a few days' notice, making his UFC debut, and is still able to take a round off you. Landon Quinones was also his UFC debut, and very close and competitive fight. He's not fighting the best level of guys, but all of them are really close and entertaining and back and forth, and Padilla's a guy that I do rock with, so it's not like he's fighting nobodies, but yeah, close and competitive. So with Mason Jones, it's like Mason Jones, judo background, a little bit of wrestling background. I feel like he is the better grappler. He's got better takedowns. He's got better takedown defense. If he can get on top, he's got the better transitional jiu-jitsu. Stand up, it's like, man, Mason Jones he's a pikey, dude. He can take one hell of a punch. And flip side to that, he's got crazy volume. He usually comes forward. He's highly aggressive. But all that being said, it's like if this fight ends up being close, which Marquel Mederos is good at kind of keeping things like that, and you might not want minus 280 on an all-action guy who lives his chin out there and is just not plotting forward, he's a little athletic, but coming forward for the most part, being aggressive and walking into shots. So Mederos, he can keep high volume as well. So him and Jones might just be banging it out on the feet, really racking up some high numbers, but both guys are bleeding and both guys are damaged, and you zigged when you were supposed to zag, and maybe your knee kind of half buckles and the judges score that. It's like, when I'm paying nearly 3-1 on a guy, you want easy path of victory. But for Jones, it's like there really is no easy path of victory. He fights to entertain. It's why he gets these spots. It's a main card opportunity for him. It's a fun fight. He just came off a $100,000 fight of the night bonus against Axel Sola his last time out, but even when you watch that one back, he lands twice as many shots as Sola, but Sola rocks him a pile of times as well. It's a little bit of a risky proposition to just take these all-action guys that are going to walk into damage, but Mason Jones is it, man. The guy is durable. He's not showing you cracks in his armor quite yet. He is going to be hyper-aggressive. The crowd's going to be on his side, and I think that he is the better striker. I think he is the better grappler. I think he's got the better cardio and the better durability. You got to put it all together. I would say a nice little path here is that if Austin Hubbard's able to get those takedowns and really do some nice work with the control time, Choinsky wrestled in college, so him getting takedowns is not nearly as impressive. Or I'm not going to knock you for getting taken down by Choinsky early, but Jones can wrestle, man. Again, he spent a lot of time at Team Alpha Male. He has a grappling background. If he can get some takedowns going against Marquel Mederos, he'll make this way easier on himself. If he wants to play punchy or kicky, I still think he wins. Just, it's going to be tighter than this minus 280 will suggest. So all the same for me, I'm going to take my Mason Jones.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add there, but it's another fight that rather than taking the minus 275, Mederos just finds ways to have fights that turn into close decisions. I was on the Hubbard fight ends in split, and I was on Hubbard by split. Obviously lost the Hubbard wins by split, but fight ends in split was like plus 500 or something like that on that fight. I think I haven't even looked at those props. I don't have too many places where I can play those props these days, but I think those props are probably pretty pretty live in pretty much every Mederos fight. But I think rather than laying them, like, I'm with you. I'm going with Mason Jones. I think the wrestling could be a path for him to separate in these rounds, but it's another fight that rather than laying the minus 300 on Mason Jones, I'd rather just play the over 2.5 at like minus 180. Use that as a parlay piece because neither one of these guys are potent finishers. Both guys have proven to be pretty tough. I mean, if you go 3 rounds with Chris Padilla, you're pretty freaking tough, man. That guy finishes dudes, right? Yeah. So I feel like most of Mason Jones' win condition is probably tied to an over 2.5 anyways. So we're getting 100 points discount on that. And it covers you in any sort of, like, we're in California. These are not always going to be all of the judges that you're familiar with. They probably do, though, because it's like, it's probably an hour flight from Vegas. So Sal and all of them, and this one's on the main card. So they'll probably all actually be in there. But if there's any sort of, stinky judging, anything like that, well, you already cashed anyway because you're on the over 2.5. Preferred bet for me is the over 2.5 at like minus 180 on Jones versus Mederos. Moving on down, we got Carli Judice taking on Jeisla Chaves. Judice is like a minus 500, minus 550, and growing favorite. Chaves can be had for plus 420. I mean, if I bet Dubin against Chaves last time out, lost, but Dubin won round 3. That's concerning. I don't think Chaves has much upside going forward, and the UFC knows what they're doing. Judice kind of has just been improving fight to fight at this point. Puts up crazy volume, super fast, super long, super technical on the feet, and I think her ground game is coming along. Not that Jeisla Chaves is really going to be able to exploit that whatsoever. Chaves seems far too hittable. That fight on Contender Series, like, she got dropped by Sofia Montenegro. I think Carli Judice gets the knockout here against, I know it's a women's fight, but like minus 550. And, we used to say, CF dot model and stuff. I find myself taking a lot more female favorites these days. And I've been having some success with it in the UFC. The old days of CF dot model seem to be a little bit behind us at this point. I think Judice absolutely rolls here. What about you?
Well, to defend the CF dot model, which you're right, it's an age thing of the past. It was more predicated to when head and arm throws worked from standing.
Yes,
and arm bars from guard.
Yes.
So when you were getting arm bars from guard and you were getting head and arm throws every other takedown, it was like, yeah, any of these girls could, in theory, beat any of these girls in the plus money hits. But no, you're right. It's like the lines are a lot more accurate these days. And of course, the level of women's MMA in general has gone up a lot. I like Jeisla Chaves. I've picked her through her Contender Series fight and her UFC debut, but yeah, this ain't in. I think she's got a lot of problems going into this matchup. You mentioned the Sofia Montenegro fight in the Contender Series. Yeah, she gets knocked down pretty bad, but really it's just like, it's more like punch for punch. Like, you hit me, I hit you back. She's not really setting anything up. She's never really getting pockets of rhythm. It's mostly just who is tougher. And in that case, she squeaks out a split decision. I thought she won that split decision, so it was like, no problem. You won. It was a close competitive fight. You cashed. All good things. It's that last fight with Eunice Dubin where you were on the Dubin train. You were smoking the Dubin for that one. And not only did she lose the third round, like, there's a really good argument she should have lost the first round, where she barely outstruck her in the significant strikes, but she got outstruck in the total strikes, and she got taken down. So Dubin could have won the first. Chaves won the second. Watching it live, it was like, okay, it's 1-1, but we got the momentum. And then in the momentum, she ends up losing the third round. And it goes to a split, and she wins the split decision again. And that's all great stuff. She's got less than 10 pro fights. She's making improvements. She's at an okay gym in Brazil. She seems like she's an athletic girl, but this is throwing you in there against someone who's not ready to fight for the belt tomorrow. But the UFC lacks, interesting new challengers and girls that they need to develop and build up to get to that point. And Carli Judice is exactly what they want. She's a former softball player in college, good athletic pedigree. Transitions that over to combat sports, and she's got volume for days. She averages like 9.5 significant strikes landed per minute. Her footwork is really good. And whereas you could just take her down and control her, her scrambles are getting way better. Her overall grappling is getting a lot better. If you're using MMA math, it's like she head kicked Dubin in like less than 2 minutes and just absolutely severed her from consciousness. Whereas Chaves is like in a tooth and nail fight to the death type of split decision. You know, when people say
if it was 4 rounds, Dubin was winning that fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. It's like Dubin as a barometer test is just like scrappy. That's it. She doesn't really have much technique, but she's willing to come out and scrap. When she fought Carli Judice, it's like you can see that like brawling is not going to work against someone who's definitely not a point fighter, but just like moves well laterally, causes you to chase, throws in combinations, goes to the leg, goes to the body, goes to the head, you know, constantly keeps you guessing. It's just like, yeah, she's just a lot more versatile all around, right? Whereas when you look at someone like Chaves, she wants to brawl. She wants to get in front of you. Let's throw down. Let's prove who's tougher. Dubin kind of has that similar style. So them fighting each other makes sense. Her fighting Sofia Montenegro. Montenegro's also let's stand in the pocket and exchange. Judice is going to be setting traps, and you're going to walk right into those traps, and I don't think it's going to go too good. So, yeah, it was minus 500, now it's minus 550. I don't doubt this thing's going to get closer to minus 600, minus 650 type range once it's all said and done. But, you know, it's women's MMA. You got to be cautious once in a while. But, yeah, Judice is like a good prospect. I think everyone's behind. Chaves, meanwhile, she's pretty. She's undefeated, and she's got a couple good things going her way. It'll be a fun fight. She's going to stand and trade. She's going to make it entertaining for the crowd. But ultimately, this is going to be a nice win for Judice to set her up in some of those more upper echelon, higher profile type matchups. So, yeah, it's Judice for me.
Yeah, it seems like a perfect matchup for Judice in her development. Judice by KO. Give it to me. I mean, Sofia Montenegro was able to knock her down. I know 8-0. She hasn't been finished, but this is the best opponent. Getting hit 62 times by Dubin. Now it's like how much are we giving up on reach here? They're basically identical in terms of that. But I mean, in terms of speed, technique, I think Judice probably finds the KO in this fight, to be perfectly honest. At plus 165, it gets you off of the plus or of the minus 525. But I'm not gonna be shocked by a decision, of course. Moving on down, we got Anthony Wint taking on Terrance Chatman. Chatman on short notice. I mean, both of these guys, frankly, on short notice. Wint's like a minus 1,000 favorite. Terrance Chatman, who I'm quite familiar with from Fury FC, can be had as high as plus 750 out on the market right now. I've taped both of these guys quite a lot. Doing like Fury FC cards, and Wint looks great getting off the bus. Obviously, he was just on Contender Series last week. Ran through Fat Adams like it was hot knife through butter, and he looks great getting off the bus. The guy's an absolute monster. He's like 230-pound heavyweight, and I mean this number just screams hype. Like, this number is all hype. It's pretty low-level heavyweights. I mean, go and watch Anthony Wint versus
Omar.
There's only a 20 Omar versus El Salah. If you can get out of that first round, this is a common opponent for them, and Chatman was able to get him out of there in like 25 seconds. I've always thought that Chatman is okay. I mean, he's a real size heavyweight. He's gonna be like 260 pounds. Wint hits super, super hard. It's heavyweight volatility, but like heavyweight volatility, I would just say be incredibly careful about laying minus 1,000 on these kind of guys because you're just going to end up with a broken heart. Both of these guys are capable of knocking each other out. Chatman, I mean, the Myron Dennis fight doesn't look that great, but he was able to knock Myron Dennis down, and he was able to go 5 rounds at heavyweight. Was it pretty? No. A lot of the other fights on Fury, it's like I was on them against the Steve Guriola guy. That was pretty easy, but it's like it's low level. I mean, we're talking regional heavyweight fights. But yeah, that Omar El Salahi fight, I mean, Terrance looked like a minus 375 favorite. Wint had to, he was getting held up against the cage, standing cage control. There's no doubt in my mind, former football guy, Wint's getting better fight to fight, and he's so athletic. But minus 1,000, I mean, you're buying all of the hype. You're buying the fact that this guy just looked incredible, like he could never lose to anybody a week ago. He's taking on maybe a comparable opponent, but like somebody who has at least went 5 rounds, has decent volume, and is a big heavy. It's dog or pass. I mean, I've clicked Chatman a couple times, like plus 670 or something like that. I don't want it to ruin my freaking week. It's hard to ruin your week on that, but like it's forcing my hand. I couldn't justify telling people to click a low-level heavyweight, an unproven low-level heavyweight at minus 1,200. I think that's you're just asking for it at that point. So, Terrance Chatman, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. You're buying the hype, right? You just saw him win on the Contender Series, and he's an athletic specimen, and he's a former NFL guy, and he trains at Killcliff FC, and he absolutely runs through a guy that should have been on the show to begin with. And then it's Dana White. I'm not leaving Las Vegas until you book me my next fight. Dana White, I'm staying at your place unless you book me a fight right away. Like, he's begging for it. And so they say, all right, perfect. We're going to throw you on this card in Sacramento. We're going to bring in a guy that's not on the roster. This figures to be a good fight for you. Chatman is not a bad heavyweight at all, as Paul mentioned. But again, he wasn't getting ready to fight in the Contender Series. He wasn't getting ready to fight in the UFC. They were literally like, hey, this big brute is talking mad game, and the fans are making a connection here, and they're liking him, and we want to keep this momentum rolling. Let's just grab someone off free agency right there and throw him into the cage, right? So yeah, you're paying for the hype, you're paying for the problem. The thing is about that is it's like recency bias. You just saw the guy and you just saw the look good. Remember when Sirsaikayev beat Taha on the Contender Series, and then 4 days later he made his UFC debut against Eric Nolan, and he's a minus 1,200 favorite, and he lost the first round to Eric Nolan, right? He ended up winning the fight. I get it, and he's a good prospect. Thing is that you literally just fought, so there's like an adrenaline dump. I competed, I smashed this guy. Then all of a sudden it's like I'm coming back to reality, but I'm eager and I want to fight. And then you jump back into no sort of camp, and you're taking on a big body guy. If you want to use Omar El Salah as the common opponent, you're right. Chatman knocked him out in 21 seconds, like zero problems. Whereas Wint had a lot of trouble against him. He gassed after the first round. He was unable to constantly get his back off the cage against this bigger guy. He was mostly just lumbering forward and pushing him into the cage. You can see Chatman doing a lot of that stuff as well, right? He is naturally the bigger guy. He's fought later into rounds. You referenced the Myron Dennis fight. The Myron Dennis fight, I mean, he almost won it. He dropped Myron Dennis hard, but it's a 5-round fight. So he loses a split decision on the basis of he gets a little bit out hustled down the stretch. But here's a guy that's been able to fight 25 minutes versus a guy that largely struggles to hold that athletic prowess together beyond 5 minutes. It all makes you wonder. Middling heavyweights, why not just take the dogger pass? And on one hand, that's just a smart value way to go. On the other hand, it's like, I don't mind Wint. I think that he is supremely athletic. I don't mind these 235-pound heavyweights being that they're going to have that speed advantage, which he obviously does. But the Matt Adams fight, everyone will remember it for how violent the finish was. But prior to him, basically what happens is the fight starts and he's super measured. He's not rushing anything. It looks like, oh, wow, this guy's very super patient. Matt Adams is like, I don't want to get hit no more. So he shoots a takedown. Wint reverses the takedown to end up on top and then just goes to town. Well, going to town, if you finish it, sure, then it's a good win. If you don't finish, you're going to just expend too much energy. But he didn't come right out the gate, charge across the ring and start throwing this big old combination as hard as he possibly could. He looked super measured and calculated. As soon as the opportunity presented itself, he's able to capitalize on it. So I do think that this is a guy that's gaining experience. Yeah, he looked bad against Omar El Salah back in the day. Sure, but that's 2-3 years ago. And then he was forced to fight 15 minutes. And you're supposed to reevaluate things. He only has a handful of pro fights. Like, no doubt he's improving fight to fight. He's at Killcliff, so his improvements are going to be way quicker than the average guy. And he's like an NFL level athletic specimen. The learning curve ain't going to be as long as it is for somebody who's just kind of picking this up on the fly. So I feel like this could be the best version of Terrance Wint, taking on a guy in Terrance Chatman that he's coming off a win over an 8-16 opponent, and now he's getting throttled into the UFC as cannon fodder. Like, is it possible he shows up? Sure, it's possible he shows up, but like the odds are certainly stacked against him. It's just I don't want to pay minus 1,000. So like, what's the move? Is
That's
the
what
over
betting
1.5 the way to move? Is the fight completes one full round the move? Like, I feel like Wint doesn't necessarily take him out of there quick. I feel like this thing probably goes over that 1.5 mark. Will it be scary? Two big old heavyweights throwing down? Sure, but Wint's going to be calculated. Chapman's got a good chin on him. I think it hits the 1.5 mark, and I feel like that would be a better play for me than trying to take this money line on a guy that I agree with you. I think it is overvalued, and it's a lot of just like your popularity, recency bias. You just saw this guy. You guys all like this guy. This guy's flexing. This guy's on Instagram and TikTok, and they're showing you, look at him compared to Fat Adams, and whoa, this guy's the next big thing. But you don't know anything. You don't know if this guy's a legit prospect. You see it. It's in your head. You like him. They're gonna balloon up the value or the line, and that's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah, over 1.5 in Chatman Wint. I mean, one, you're dealing with Chatman who hasn't been finished. I mean, Wint could knock out, I think, most guys probably in the first round if he lands clean, lands hard, and that athleticism is no joke, right? It's not like I'm discrediting this guy, but over 1.5 is like plus 258. If Chatman can come in there, one, take some of those shots, two, maybe force it up against the cage, extend this fight out. Chatman getting to an over 1.5, I think, is a very, very decent look at getting involved in this fight. But yeah, relatively unproven heavyweights laying minus 1,000, like, people will be like, oh, they shit in the pie, and it'd be like, unfortunately, your pie already came preloaded with shit. You may have to write that down so that you get rid of the S word for your TV purposes.
No, all good. They care about F-bombs.
It's at 56.25 if you want to remove that. But yeah, that pie may already have some doo-doo in it. If you got Anthony, like, that's just the nature of this game, man. Like, low-level heavyweights, both guys could finish each other. One guy, it's just all hype. This price, if they fought in Fury, I think Wint would still be the favorite, but it would probably have been like minus 300 Wint. You know what I mean? Maybe minus 400 Wint, like not minus 1,000. That's based off of what we saw last week on Contender Series and people who don't bet the regional scene looking at it and being like, that guy was amazing. He's going to win again. I think Chatman's better than Matt Adams, but we will see. And he has proven to be pretty durable at the very least. So obviously it's a tall task on short notice, but I mean, it's heavyweights. It's not like you're interrupting a weight cut or anything like that. Chatman's, I don't think, would be that much over heavyweight that it would be some sort of crushing weight cut for him. So it should be interesting. We'll see. Very, very possible Wint goes out there, absolutely flatlines him, and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, we've got a real heavyweight prospect here. But I would be very, very hesitant to just assume that that's what's going to happen in this fight. Very familiar with both of these guys. And I think that the line's really, really off, to be perfectly honest. Moving on down. Now we're getting into the prelims where it's just like crazy chalk. We got Lerryan Douglas taking on Jamall Emmers. Lerryan Douglas is a minus 370 favorite to come back on Emmers, plus 300. Who you got here?
Yeah, so Lerryan Douglas, obviously he's got that type of power that he can end the night of many people, similar to like Emmanuel Sosa that we saw a couple weeks back. Yeah. You can grind him, you can get some takedowns, you can maybe outwork him in spots, but like he's got heavy duty power, and all it takes is a couple good punches landing, and all of a sudden he'll turn the tide. And you watch back on him like on his early regional scene career, he goes 8-5, loses to Isaac Thompson, who's like 18 years old at the time. Cardio doesn't look great, grappling doesn't look great. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I'm not saying extra supplements or anything like that. More so just like he hit his stride. He linked up with Bloodline Combat Sports. He's training with Cub Swanson. He's training with a host of good fighters, many of which are in the UFC now. Yeah, man, this guy touches you. It's bad news. He got some decent wins. Nathan Garib, Javier Reyes, Elijah Johns. Gets on the Contender Series against Cam Teagan and just folds him. Because, when you fight like Cam Teagan, it's really predicated on just like, I'm tough and I'm going to come forward and we're going to see who's got more power and who's got more durability. It's like if you want to walk into Lerryan Douglas shots, it's not going to go good.
He has more power.
And he's fast. He's fast. Yeah. He's athletic, and he hits unbelievably hard. And so we saw that in his UFC debut as well. You're making your UFC debut against a guy in Julian Erosa that has 20 UFC fights, right? A guy in Julian Erosa that's fought some of the upper echelon guys of the division and has a lot of good wins. So, but what's the one issue with Juicy J? Chin's not exactly all that good. So being able to just chin check him and put him away, it's like, yeah, that's what Douglas brings to the table. I think that's exactly what he brings to the table against Jamall Emmers, is that Jamall Emmers, to me, isn't really the most durable guy going. He's got a few knockout losses on his record. He's been rocked before. As much as he's athletic and he moves well, he's now 37 years old. And, at some point, if he gets clipped by Douglas, it should be all over. The thing is that the guy can wrestle, no doubt about it. He wrestled in college, has good grappling, and you saw in his last fight in particular. Because prior to that, it's like he wrestles a little bit, but maybe not that as the number one game plan. That last fight with Hyder Emil, 7 takedowns, lots of control time. Hyder Emil's wily. Hyder Emil's strong. Hyder Emil's got a good get-up game. And yet Emmers did a really good job of neutralizing him. If he comes out there and he fights like that, then he could cover this price tag, and you would rather be holding the plus money ticket on the guy that's constantly grounding Douglas. We've not seen him have to grapple in a while. You do go back to some of those early regional scene fights. He is getting taken down. He is getting controlled. He is getting submitted. Emmers could 100% do that. On the other side, if Emmers fights him the way he fought Nate Landwehr, he's going to walk into a counter right hand and get absolutely knocked unconscious. So, like, Douglas seems like the best play, but when you're looking at numbers and you're looking at which one of these favorites might go ahead and blow it, people like Douglas. He's like on an 8-fight winning streak. He's knocked out, I think, all 8 of those guys. Like, he's violent, he's Brazilian, he's super athletic, he's explosive. Emmers flies under the radar, he doesn't really get the respect from his peers that maybe he should, but the guy's super well-rounded as well. He can definitely strike. Striking's going to get him put in a really bad spot here. He's got to get his wrestling going. He's got to get his grappling going. He's got to try to neutralize this guy for 2 of the 3 rounds and survive. And if he does that, he can spring the upset, but I'm more of a Lerryan Douglas guy than I am a Jamall Emmers guy. This is punchy kicky, and the UFC just watched you take a guy down 7 times and hold him down. So there's more pressure on you to go out there and have a fun fight this time than another, I'm going to score 7 more takedowns. If you try to have a fun fight against Douglas, given your history of durability issues, it ain't going to be good. And so I feel like at some point Douglas does clip him. Maybe an over 1.5 again, maybe a Douglas specifically by knockout, maybe a Douglas round 2 or round 3 knockout. All that stuff's on the table, but it feel to me like I'll probably end up taking that Douglas shot.
Yeah. Over 1.5 in a Lerryan Douglas fight, that just scared. That's just too much butt puckering for my liking, to be perfectly honest. Like, I would rather bet Emmers in that scenario if I was to go down that route, because getting over 1.5 in this fight, I feel like that means that Emmers is getting those takedowns early and getting control time, because like if they're on the feet, man, this guy hits so hard. I'm with you. I think Lerryan Douglas gets the knockout win. Minus 370 on the money line. Don't love it. What's his round 1 prop? It's okay. I'll probably play that at one of my books that's available to me. It's like plus 100 at most books. One of my books has plus 179. So I'll be doing that. Yeah. I'll be doing that as soon as we're done this show. Lerryan Douglas by knockout, Lerryan Douglas round 1. Those are the most likely outcomes as far as I'm concerned. But I guess we could have said the same thing about Hyder Emil last time out. But we knew Hyder Emil's wrestling was very much something he lacked in his game. Whereas I know Douglas, if you go back to some of his previous fights, maybe his training condition wasn't nearly as good. That's the big question mark. If Emmers comes out there and neutralizes him early, I'm not going to be shocked. But that is the game we play. Very diametrically opposed fight. But Douglas KO, Douglas KO 1 is how I'm approaching this one this week. I would plus 130 to the over 1.5. It's like those are more. That's more of a Cody Saftik special right there. But I don't think Lerryan Douglas is a guy I have much interest in betting overs in. If he lands clean, he's putting you out of there.
That's fair. His last 2 for sure. But if you look at the 2 before that, he wins the LFA title against Javier Reyes. Javier Reyes has got durability issues and he's slow. And it just got over the over 1.5.
Tight.
And they defended against Miles John's brother, Elijah Johns, and it just gets over the 1.5.
So you're winning by seconds on these plays.
Here for a good time, but maybe we can get just over the 1.5. Now Cam Teague is going to walk into punches. He's got 0 defense, and Julian Erosa has 8 career losses by knockout. So like those guys, he can torch right away. Emmers, I'm sure he could as well. But if Emmers wrestles early, maybe he can buy us some time and get KO'd in the second half of the second round. Then that'd be happy.
Yeah. I'm not in the business of having my butt puckered for winning by 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Those I'd rather just avoid those situations. Not my style. But yeah, I mean, when you bet those Douglas round 1 props, like you end up losing on those exact type of situations. So it is what it is. Anyway, moving on down, we got Shamil Gaziev taking on Kennedy and Nzechukwu. Gaziev's like a minus 135 favorite. The comeback on Kennedy is plus 120, minus 140, plus 120. This is a heavyweight fight that I really kind of struggled to get a real good feel for. I was just watching tape just before we came in here on these guys, and it's just like never really been sold on Kennedy at the heavyweight limit. It feels like a guy who was just big for 205 and had some good moments at 205, but at heavyweights, like he's kind of run through some like pretty lower level opposition. I don't think his submission game's all that good. Breshke ran through him. Chris Barnett, like, come on, that's not even a heavyweight. I've never really bought into it, but like Gaziev, the one thing Gaziev has going for him is that like he's always been a heavyweight. I don't think he could make 205 pounds. So maybe like could he get a little bit of grappling going? Possibly. He was landing some pretty good shots last time out there against Brando Perisic. Like that was a back and forth banger until he absolutely death gassed in round 2 and got finished. But like that was a very volatile fight. His fight with Waldo, not exactly a great look. I don't know. This fight just screams volatility all over the place. Not one I plan on betting, or at least not seriously this week. I'm going to side with Gaziev just on the fact that like he strikes me as more of the real heavyweight in terms of like what he comes in, what he weighs at. I've just never bought the experiment for Kennedy at 265 pounds. So give me hesitantly Shamil Gaziev, but I'm not going to let it ruin my week. What about you?
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. You mentioned how like you're not really sold on Kennedy at 265. Like I would say that I'm not sold on Kennedy at 205 pounds either. Like he was just somebody who had freakish proportions, giant reach, giant height. Supposed to be a much better striker than he ended up being. Supposed to be a much better grappler than he ended up being. It's like every step of the way, he's disappointed. He's got a winning record in the UFC. That's got to count for something. But like, yeah, he got no real sense of urgency. His chin is a little bit vulnerable at times. He's very easy to pin up against the cage and kind of neutralize. That last time out, it's like, he's got I wouldn't say a layup, but you're taking on Marcus Buchecha. In the first round, he just wrecks Buchecha. Second round, he gets taken down. He gets controlled. I wouldn't say dominated, but I guess he got a 10-8 round out of it. In the third round, he comes back and he beats up Buchecha again. But like this guy's mostly just turtling up, and Kennedy never really gets much of his game going. Guys that he's supposed to be, like the Alvin St. Preux fight, all of a sudden he's getting it work the entire time. Walter Walker, it was like he was supposed to be the best grappler that Walter Walker had faced to that point, and he gets subbed in the first round again. You mentioned the wins, Lucas Brzezinski. Lucas Brzezinski went, I think, 1-6 in the UFC. Chris Barnett went 2-5 in the UFC. Devin Clark was the size of a middleweight. Those wins are not really all that impressive, and they certainly haven't aged all that well. Now, I've been the biggest Gaziev hater right from the get-go. I don't think he's good at all. Like, he's Dagestani wrestling champion, and you want to love that, but when you look at these Dagestani fighters, They're the best in the world. They're the best in the world at 125, 135, 145, 155, 170. There's not really some big players at 85. There's not really some big players at 205. Yeah, but he doesn't even wrestle, right? It's like this.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, unless he's taking on Bogdan Goskov and he's tired of chasing him around because doing the rendition of the Running Man in there. But for the most part, yeah, Ankalaev is the Russian light heavyweight. But why is there not 4 or 5? Like every other division, there's 4 or 5 killers. When you start to get to like middleweight, light heavyweight, they're not really the best guys in the world anymore.
Yep.
And so with Gaziev, it's like, oh, he's got this world-class wrestling, but he doesn't really use it. He's slow. He's lumbering. He's got some power in his right hand for sure. But yeah, he's a one-round guy. And so we faded him when he fought Jairzinho Rosenstruck, being that it was a 5-round fight. And so the first round, he actually won. He won the first round. Second round, you see right away, it's like there's no plan B. If you can't get the takedown, it's standing cage control. If you can separate off the standing cage control, is handed by his hips. He doesn't throw more than just that big clunky right hand at a time. No combinations. No resolve, and as soon as the going gets tough, he gets put away. Mind you, he makes it to the 4th round, but that was kind of like the beginning of this guy's any type of elite type of competitor. Wins over Dante Mays, who's released from the promotion. Thomas Peterson seems like he's a hair away from being released from the promotion. He, similar to Kennedy Nzechukwu, if he's fighting the absolute bottom of the barrel type of guys, he can get the win. It's when he moves up an echelon and the skill gap starts to widen out pretty quickly. What I will give him a pass on is Waldo Cortez Acosta. He's a volume guy. He's a former pro boxer. He's got a nasty jab. He's got long reach as well. He's got good footwork. He's able to just kind of matador him and beat him up. And getting knocked out in a minute 22, getting dropped twice like that, everything that hit him put him down. Waldo's not a big power puncher. He's a volume puncher. So that's concerning. And then that last fight with Pericic, Paul's right. He is slanging and banging with Pericic. And he lands a couple good shots. But the more that pace is forced upon him, the more he falls right apart. Now, Kennedy's a better striker, although if that right hand touches Kennedy, Nzechukwu is going to go down. If Kennedy can keep the fight standing and really just cause some early exchanges, cause him to overextend himself, cause him to plant his feet and swing, miss, he'll gas out. Kennedy will take over.
Yeah.
The thing that I wanted to take Gaziev, but watching back the Pericic fight, it's like you got a guy here that is predominantly just a kickboxer. Like wrestling should be the name of the game, and he's less reluctant. He's a lot more reluctant to stick to wrestling. Instead, it's like he got a takedown. Pericic gets back up, and then instantly it's like I don't have enough gas to stick to more takedowns, so I'm just gonna stand and bang like that. That's not gonna go particularly well. We talked earlier about middling heavyweights and how it used to just be an automatic dogger pass. This is what this is. I don't like Gaziev. I don't like Kennedy. I can see Gaziev's path to victory. I can see Kennedy's. Ultimately, this is a 50-50 fight. Both guys got a viable chance to getting their hand raised. I want the plus money guy. It's total dogger pass as far as I'm concerned. I hate this pick, but I'll take Kennedy Nzechukwu.
Yeah, I'm not even really betting that fight, to be perfectly honest. Just too many other spots that I enjoy a lot more and wouldn't be shocked either way on that fight. Moving on down, we got Nasrat Haqparast taking on Chris Padilla. This one's pretty close to a pick'em. Slight favorite is Nasrat Haqparast minus 115. Padilla's as high as plus 100. Where you at?
I got Chris Padilla, actually. So Nasrat Haqparast has obviously been super serviceable, but it feels to me like he's not super old. He's 30 years old. But he's had a lot of wear and tear at this point. He's got 24 pro fights under his belt. And keep in mind, here's a guy that had never been knocked out before. He soldiers on, he gets hit, he muscles through it. But this last number of fights, right? So we'll start with, say, he fights King Bobby Green. Okay, King Bobby Green lands 188 significant strikes on him. So that's like compounded damage. But hey, he's 28 years old at the time, and it's King Bobby Green. Who cares? Okay. Well, then Landon Quinones, who I believe that was his UFC debut, lands 148 significant strikes on him. Like Nasrat's whole thing is that he just walks into punches. Like I hate to use this as like what's the biggest knock on Nasrat is that he has no punching power. Like all of his fights usually go to decision. He wins on decisions. He doesn't sub guys. He doesn't knock guys out for the most part, for the outliers in the mix. It's that he throws the kitchen sink at you and he can't take you out. Well, yeah, his striking defense is not that good. So he'll get into these wars with random guys. Not saying King Bobby Green's a random guy, but he took a lot of damage in the Dan Hooker fight, took a lot of damage in the Bobby Green fight. Landon Quinones is not on his level. Landon Quinones has got this is UFC debut versus a guy that's got nearly 20 fights in the organization. And yet Quinones gives him everything he can handle. Jared Gordon lands 141 significant strikes on him 2 fights later. Esteban Ribovics lands 147 significant strikes the fight after that. And then finally, Quinlan Salkill knocks him out with a head kick. Now, Quinlan Salkill's the man, so you want to give him a pass. And it's a head kick. It's a nasty head kick. But it's also like, this is the damage that's been compounded. He's been hit 600 significant times in his last 5 fights. He'd never been knocked out, and now he's been knocked out violently. And now he's jumping back into a fight where he's the favorite. I'm not so sure. Chris Padilla's got high volume as well. His last fight with Marquel Mederos, he landed 147 significant strikes. Well, that's what's going to be happening again here. Nasrat, southpaw, is going to walk into a lot of shots. The difference is Padilla can crack. Haqparast is not like it's point fighting because he's landing a whole bunch of them. But when the judges are looking at damage and who's landing the more meaningful blows, I feel like it'd be Padilla. Padilla seems like he's a little bit better with his angles as well. He's got those elbows on the inside. I think those will do a really good job of cutting up Haqparast and causing some visible damage that the judges will kind of resonate with. And then on top of that, his ground game is low-key really not that bad. I think he could mix in some takedowns. I think he could try to neutralize in some spots, but mostly just outwork him. You get a guy here in Padilla who I really feel like is hitting his own. You know, he's not the youngest guy going, but he came into the UFC not supposed to be much, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, he subs James Lawntop. Wow, James Lawntop's awful. So they throw him to the wolves against Rong Zhu, and he smashes Rong Zhu. That elbow to the face, the swollen eye, disgusting. I think it's Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert fight. Yeah, it's a boring ass fight, but like he's in the UK taking on Jai Herbert, who of course we know, dude knocked out Topuria. Dude ended up just beating rat garbage Mandel Nalo his last fight. Jai Herbert's pretty serviceable. And instead of standing on the end of his shots and decide, hey, let's throw down. I got this Muay Thai, art of 8 limbs. You know, you're Jai Herbert. No, he pins him up against the cage and uses a bunch of control time. Smart game plan. Then against Ishmael Bonfim, again, he's expected to lose. What's he do? He beats him up, causes him to quit. And then he gets Marquel Mederos, which I thought he won, but they give it a draw. It's like every fight he's showing you something new. He's very savvy. He's very, like, he can get along there with upper echelon guys and give a good account of himself. And I feel like this is a Nasrat Haqparast. It's a little too reckless, comes forward, leaves himself way too open. He'll be getting countered. He'll be getting beat to the punch. He might get grappled a little bit. Yeah, I honestly think Chris Padilla's just got his number here, and he's a slight underdog. So I'll be taking Padilla.
Yeah, it's like you stole my notes. I don't really have too much to add there. Padilla hits harder. Haqparast, I think, yeah, he's just far too hittable to be going up against somebody who can probably match him in volume and hits harder. And where is Padilla from? Is he gonna have any sort of local flair here?
I don't know. I mean, he is a California guy, but I don't know where Gardena, California, or Linwood is in comparison.
Where
Gardena? Northern California, though.
Gardena, California. Where is it? Oh, Northern Cal.
Northern Cal. I think Linwood.
No, it's Gardena. No, it's near LA. Either way, he's a California guy. You know, Sacramento is probably like 5-6 hour drive. California's a big state. Wait a second. Let's see. I'm gonna figure this out. I gotta figure out how is he gonna have. I mean, either way, he's taking on a German by way of Canada, by way of
Afghanistan,
by way of God, Morocco. I think Haqparast is like representing at this point. The crowd's going to be on Padilla's side as well as a California boy.
I would expect to hear some USA chants, and they will in fact be towards Taco Padilla.
So one guy hits harder, the other guy. The one thing that you brought up that's like exactly in my notes is like Haqparast is just far too hittable, man. And I think he's given up significant power here. Not a lock that there's any sort of finish, but like I don't mind. It's like the under 2.5 is like plus 157. I think most of that's probably predicated on Padilla getting the finish, but he's got some subs on his record, so like KO is not exactly a quote unquote lock by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, Padilla plus 100. I already clicked it. That's where I'm at. as well this week. Moving on down, we got Marcio Barbosa taking on Ryan Kuse. Barbosa is one of these other big favorites. A pretty big favorite. He's like minus 925, as high as minus 1,000 right now. Ryan Kuse, short notice, stepping up and in, coming off of karate combat, is like plus 635. I like Barbosa. I think he's so violent, so fun. I mean, his last 4 fights, all first round knockouts. That guy's left hook is an absolute nuke. But it's like that fight right before that against Gabriel Santos. Just like, can you survive? If Ryan Kuse, it's a big if. I mean, one, the guy hasn't been knocked out. Two, if you actually watch some of his MMA fights, I know he's coming off of karate combat. So, like, maybe people are thinking, like, oh, this is like just another karate guy. It's like, no. It's like if you watch a bunch of his other fights here, he's trying to wrestle. That's a lot of his game in a lot of his fights. Can he slow it down? Can he weather the storm and get Marcio Barbosa out of his element in round one? Because Mark Barbosa, with that power in his hands, he is live to absolutely nuke just about most guys in round one. Like, his fists go burr, as the kids would say. They're a money printer. But at minus 1,000, it's just like, you know, now we're just laying a minus 1,000 on a guy who we've seen time and time throughout his career. It's just like, if he gets extended out of that first round, it's just like he is no longer the same fighter. Is this where the train falls off the tracks? Maybe not. But I'm also not all that excited about laying minus 1,000 on Marcio Barbosa. Big fan, but there's some concerns there. Dogger pass, you know me, I'm a degenerate. I'll probably have a small bet on Ryan Kuse this week. What about you?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very familiar with Ryan Kuse. He's got some legitimate skills. Third Street Savage, good little personality on him, got all the tats. But yeah, he wrestled. He was I think he finished 4th in the state championships as in high school. Ended up wrestling a little bit in college. Came over to MMA, and then the guy knows how to wrestle. He spent a lot of time at Goat Shed, which got him his opportunities with karate combat. He throws him decent hands. He's very aggressive. He's got a good mindset, and he's a durable guy. So, you know, name of the game for this one is durable guy, because he's going to have to go through hell through that first round with Marcio Barbosa to even have a chance at winning this thing. But yeah, he's not they plucked this guy off the streets and he shouldn't be there, and he's a plus 850 type underdog. He's like, no, this guy's got like some legitimate skills, has fought some okay guys. You look at his losses as a pro. Leonardo Chimmy Morales, that one's not a good loss, but again, Chimmy Morales did fight in the UFC, and then Cameron Smotherman, who did fight in the UFC, but that's a robbery, man. He just took him down for like the vast majority of the fight. Didn't land nothing, but he takedown after takedown after takedown. Yep. Judges unfortunately say split decision. They go with their local Texas guy being Cameron Smotherman. But as Paul mentioned, he's not like he's got these durability issues. His submission defense isn't bad. His chin is actually quite good. Mm-hmm. My thing is that when you look at him fight Smotherman, it's at 135. And Smotherman ended up being like, not a really big 35er. Chimmy Morales, 135. His best win of his career in MMA would be Kevin Natividad at 135. He's fought at 145 a little bit, but he's taken this one at 145 by way of it's short notice.
Barbosa's not very big, though. Barbosa's 5'6". He's thick, and he hits hard. Don't get me wrong, but like, Q should be like 3 inches taller than him. I imagine probably has a slight reach advantage here as well. I mean, if you're hanging out in a reach advantage situation with Barbosa, you're already doing it wrong. Like, the way he has to win is like he has to like maybe standing cage control, close that gap as soon as humanly possible. Because like if Barbosa lands hands on you, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but well, I mean, the record speaks for itself. He's got 18 wins. I think like 16 or 17 of them are first round finishes. So it's like all of his wins are first round finishes. The problem is losses. Gabriel Santos, who's good and is a nasty knockout, but it makes it to the second. When he lost to Luis Felipe, he got TKO'd because it made it to the second. He's got a win over Ronaldo Jr. It's his only win by decision. It's a split decision. He's 7-0, taking on a guy that's 2-0.
Yeah.
And he settles for the split decision because you watch that fight back. It's like the longer it goes, he's a first round finisher. With Ryan Kuse, it's like the guy's tough, man. He really is. And he's been trying to get in the UFC for a couple of years. Problem is that of his last 3 or 4, like, because Paul's right, he'll do karate combat and he'll do he's doing something else too. He's bare knuckle MMA. He finishes fights in those fights. When he fights just regular MMA, he gets a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
His last 3 or 4 wins were by decision. So UFC says, listen, it's not that we're not interested, but go get some finishes. So he goes to Samurai House. His last MMA fight is in like Argentina or something, just to get a quick. They just give him a warm body that he can finish. He finishes that guy. Takes another karate combat fight, which he won. It's a warm body. And now it's, hey, we're using you as a short notice guy, jump in. But it's not like he's just, shouldn't be there. They wanted to see more finishes from him. And now that they've not really been satisfied with that end of it, they're going to use him as an injury replacement. So yeah, the coward's way out of this is just a live betting opportunity. Kuse can take a beating. He really can. He's got a good chin on him. If he can take the beating in that first round and all of a sudden Barbosa is even more tired, Kuse can get his wrestling going, get on top. It'll be a problem. If Kuse is at a full training camp, was getting ready for something and isn't going to gas out, then this would be a good spot for him as well, right? But I got a nagging suspicion that taking the fight on short notice, moving up a weight class, he's probably going to have 1 round of cardio in him as well. So if he loses the first round, even if he doesn't get finished, is he going to have enough to start completing those takedowns? Is Barbosa absolutely going to vanish after the first round and prove to be a Terrance McKinney type? Kind of remains to be seen, but the line's just way too big. I feel like I'd be wanting to take a fight gets out of the first round, being that Kuse has never been knocked out. I think you'll be able to take some of that early damage. 1.5 might be stretching it a little bit, but it's kind of a value side for Kuse. I feel like I don't want to pick him outright, especially because if he gets absolutely pulverized in the first round, everyone's going to be, how could you possibly take this guy based on what? That he might outlast him? I mean, it's a live betting spot. Live betting would be the best way to attack that one.
Anybody who attacks you on that type of thing are a moron, though, right? It's just like, that's not how game, like Barbosa, when he wins, it's going to be violent. It's going to be early. He's going to look like he should have been minus 2,000. But if we had a crystal ball and we knew in advance that that's exactly how these things are going to play out, then it would be a different story. But you don't know. And then you look at a guy on the other side at those price tag, even if he's coming, fighting at 135, he's 5'9", should be a little bit taller, a little bit longer. He does have some wrestling, and we've seen that's exactly, even if you look at Barbosa in that Gabriel Santos fight, it's just like he almost got Gabriel Santos out of there in round 1. That was violent. It was dangerous. I think you're muted right now. So that was one of those things that that's definitely in play. He's gonna have to go through hell. So you're saying of playing it live, that's probably the best way to go about. We know the one thing that we know is that that Marcio Barbosa is going to have a very violent round 1, and everything else is kind of unknown after maybe the first. I've even seen him in some of his fights start to slow down. At the end of round 1 against Gabriel Santos, he started to slow down quite a bit, real fast. He seems like a Terrance McKinney type, but we will see how it all plays out. I played a little bit of Kuse, but I think live betting is probably the better way to go about it, as you were kind of leaning towards that being your strategy for this one. I guess if Kuse gets an early takedown and is able to control, is he going to be able to hold him down? I'm not so sure. Anyway, let's move on. We got Gage Young taking on Stanley Dorsaville. Pretty close to a pick 'em on this one. Gage Young minus 128 favorite to come back on Stanley, plus 110. Who you got?
Yeah, Stanley Dorsaville is just super physically strong, man. This guy's a bit of a beast. Thing is that he's making his UFC debut, technically speaking, on short notice. It's his first time making the walk to the octagon, so there's going to be some jitters, and he's only got 5 pro fights. So How much do we really know about him? Like, yeah, I think there's going to be something left to be desired. But again, when you watch this guy in the regional scene, it's like, similar to when we're talking about Wint, he's a physical specimen. He can get by on the strength and physicality. It's like, that's what this guy does. Undefeated as an amateur, undefeated as a pro. He really started hitting everyone's radar when he took the Cedric Katawamba fight, LFA 188. He's a plus 275 underdog to Katawamba. Cedric was an undefeated prospect, supposed to be very good, training at the MMA lab. I believe he's a Congolese fighter, and he's a beast himself. But it's like, Stanley's strong, dude. If he hits you, not going to be good. Physically, he'll just pull you to the ground. He can rack up some takedowns. And for a guy that's built that heavily stacked, it's like his cardio really doesn't seem to be all that bad. So he springs the upset over Cedric, and after that hasn't really looked back. His last fight, he takes on this Dan Holt at LFA 233. Dan Holt is like a striking dynamo. He's got no ground game. But I mean, his striking is unreal. And so he was kind of favored for a lot of people that if he can keep this fight standing, he's training out of Kill Cliff FC. He's got great training partners. His coaches are raving about him. His striking is so dynamic, and they're helping him, refine his ground game. He'll keep this fight standing and should have his way. But again, it's like Dorsonville he's got good ring IQ. He knows that if he's got this striking advantage, he can keep the fight standing. He knows if he doesn't want to keep the fight standing, that he can just outmuscle his opponents down. I wouldn't say his wrestling technique is really all that great, as much as he's good with trip takedowns, body lock takedowns, and once he establishes top control, he really doesn't let you go anywhere. Again, what's most impressive about him is, for a guy that's like, that physically strong, is that he does carry that strength over from round to round. And even though this is not an ideal situation, taking a fight on short notice, he was getting ready to fight on the LFA card in Clarksville, Tennessee in like a few weeks, I believe. So he's had a camp. He's fought in an okay level of regional scene guy. And I feel like this is a fight against Gage Young that Gage doesn't really do anything overly good. He's got better volume than Stan Dorsonville, but outside of that, it's like his wrestling is okay. I wouldn't say that's any better. I wouldn't say he's any physically stronger. He's got way more experience. That's going to count for something. But when you look at his last two fights, Mahashat, and then more so the Thiago Moises fights last time out, he smokes Moises. He's got to beat every turn of the corner. He would hurt him, and then he would sit there and wave him back up. He'd sit there and he'd do a little dance. He'd sit there and he'd play with his food. Everyone was saying this guy lacks killer instinct. It ends up going to a split decision. What judge possibly scored it for Thiago Moises? I can't figure that out. But it was that Gage Young's not really looking to engage him all that much. He's beating him up, but he's not looking to put himself into any type of situation to take a risk. Dana keeps emphasizing finish, finish, finish. We need the finish. And yet he had multiple opportunities to possibly finish that fight, and he took none of them. He was afraid to go to the ground with Thiago Moises, which you can't fault him. It's what Moises does. He's got a good ground game, but I don't know. There's just something lacking there. Something lacking that I don't see in Stan Dorsonville. If he has you hurt, he's going to capitalize. If not, he's just going to muscle you. And I feel like in this fight, if I can get slight plus money, which he is, slight plus money, I feel like he's stronger, bigger and stronger than Gage Young. Should be able to muscle him around in the clinch a little bit. If he ends up on top, we're going to rinse some round time. If it doesn't get to the ground, Gage Young's going to have some volume, but flip side to that, Dorsonville might be able to hit him with the bigger shots and either catch himself a knockdown, a knockout, or just cause the judges to think, hey, he's landing a little bit less, but he's landing a little bit heavier. Damage goes towards him. He could rack up some control time. He could split this thing out. This is one of those fights you do not have to bet. I mean, it's a 50-50 fight. The line pretty much indicates that as well. It's close. I get it. But kind of like Stan Dorsonville. I think he's got a bright future in that he's 5-0. Like, wait until this guy's 10-0. Wait until this guy's 15-0. Wait until this guy's, got a little more money coming his way and he can invest into his own career. He'll be okay. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is his first fight on the road to that. So I'll take Stan Dorsonville to spring a very mild upset here.
Yeah, I bet on the plus 112. Mostly for the same. I think the more eye-catching kind of blows would come from Stan. I like his game. There's a little bit of spinny merchant stuff that I don't know if that's the greatest. Maybe that's a way that he ends up getting taken down, controlled a little bit, but I'm not so sure about that. I just kind of enjoy his game more, and I saw like the killer instinct that you were kind of referring to. He's been underestimated on the regional scene coming up, but like his wins on the regional scene are pretty quality. Like seems like he's ready for this step up. Seems to be getting better fight to fight. All things that you kind of want to see when you're looking at a prospect stepping up and in to take on somebody. I mean, if Gage Young versus Stanley Dorseyville was on Contender Series, that's like a Contender Series main event, you wouldn't be shocked. It's just Gage Young got signed, last year, and or I guess over a year ago. Lost to Selkild. I mean, going to decision against Selkild, that aged pretty well for him. It could be a very, very close fight, but slight dog money on Dorseyville got me to click. But another fight, not losing my life on Gage Young versus Stanley Dorseyville. Moving on down, this one's because we need to know, codes. We got Jackson McVeigh taking on Party Time Wesley Schultz. My goodness, because we gotta know, codes, who is the worst middleweight on the UFC roster. I gotta go Jackson McVeigh that he gets the job done here, mostly just because I think he's more well-rounded he's got a lot more to offer on the feet. If he does get taken down, I feel like maybe he can just survive those type of exchanges, and Wes Schultz just gasses way too much for my liking. But am I excited about laying minus 190 on Jackson McVeigh? No, I am not. Don't let this fight ruin your life, is all I will say, because these are this is a loser leaves town match at the highest order, to be perfectly honest. Give me the guy with the Trump impressions in Jackson McVeigh, but I'm not going to be surprised by very much that happens between these two mopes. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's why I just chalked this one up to a dogger pass. So I did end up taking Wes Schultz. I think when you look at it, it's like, oh man, Wes Schultz, dude, he can't take a punch. But that last fight against Ben Johnson, he got his ass kicked and he stuck with it. He showed some resolve. He showed some gumption. It was nice. Okay, but Wes Schultz has got bad cardio. Also true. But in that last fight against Ben Johnson, he is getting his ass kicked and he makes it to the third round and he's down 2 rounds all day long and he ends up snagging up that third round guillotine choke. So if he's willing to take a little bit more damage than he used to be, and if he can fight into the third round, the guy does have a nasty submission game, and usually that's his path of victory, is to snatch up on something. His other win on the Contender Series, Mario Menage, got the submission there, nice solo stretch. His fight with Mansour Malik, although that one obviously did not age very good. First round, he's able to get the takedown, get some grappling going. His jiu-jitsu is not bad. He wrestled D2 level. Yeah, if he can close the gap, get these fights to the ground, create scrambles, and latch onto a neck or something like that, that's where he's at his best. When he's forced to strike, you're right. He's an absolute liability, and Jackson McVeigh's got him outgunned on the feet all day long. The thing with Jackson McVeigh, though, is that being that he's so tall, he's 6'4" with a 77-inch reach, and he's a southpaw. If you stand with him, sure, he's got a chance to beat you up. If you just commit to getting this fight to the ground, push him up against the cage, drop levels, take him down, submission defense doesn't really look all that good. His fight with Bruno Ferreira in his UFC debut, like Bruno Ferreira just backs him out to the cage, push, pull, puts him on the ground, grabs an armbar from top position. Don't really see it that often. Subbed him easy. Bruno Ferreira's not overly known for his jiu-jitsu game, although he's a black belt. I get it. It's the next fight against Zach Reese. Zach Reese is awful, dude. He is awful. He cannot take a punch. He's got no cardio. He's got no desire. And yet Zach Reese is scoring easy money takedowns, takes his back and chokes him with a rear naked choke. His last fight against Cedric Dumas, well, that's not really a great fight to suggest I'm back on track and that my skills are all there. He's able to submit Cedric Dumas, sure. I'm more concerned with his takedown defense and his submission defense, because really the only two things that Wes Schultz excels at is like he can wrestle, he can get some takedowns. He's got a little nasty submission game on him. So if you're getting subbed by Zach Reese and Bruno Ferreira, there's a good chance that Wes Schultz is going to be able to get that spot as well. And being that he's a short money underdog here, I think I'd rather have the plus money guy instead of, Jackson McVeigh, who needs to keep the fight standing and needs to knock him out. And Ben Johnson was training at City Kickboxing. Ben Johnson's a kickboxing champion. Ben Johnson lit him up for 10 minutes and couldn't get him out of there. Like if Jackson McVeigh does not knock him out, that gives Schultz a few opportunities to snag up a neck along the way, and I think he'll do exactly that. So, yeah, not the sexiest pick, I get it, but I got Wes Schultz by submission.
That's actually probably pretty. That's a fun way to go about it. As high as plus 329. I can't disagree. I mean, I can't disagree. Both of these guys are terrible. Take the dog by sub, because that's how his opponent loses. Well, if it loses, Cody, I'm flipping my pick. And I'm gonna play some Wes Schultz by sub, and it's all your fault if my plus 329 doesn't cash.
Sounds like it's party time, Paul. Sounds like it's party time.
I know where you live, and I know which province you're in right now.
I know.
So
there's only one way off. It's the bridge. Oh no.
Yeah, I'll be no, I'm not gonna make any of those jokes on it. That would be terrible. Anyway, finally, Chanel Dyer taking on Elise Reed. We got Chanel Dyer as a minus 750 favorite. Comeback on Reed plus 550-ish. Oy. Here's how I play. I played the under 2.5. Because Elise Reed, when she loses all 5 losses, she's been finished. And we got, younger prospect who hits hard. And frankly, got knocked down 3 times against Carol Foro. Is Dyer. But like Foro's a pretty decent opponent. So it's like hindsight 2020, not the worst look. And then she went out there and got rid of Ravina Oliveira super, super quick. Reed doesn't have some sort of big grappling game, I think, to cause her problems. I think she doesn't hit nearly hard enough. I understand that like a lot of these people who are finishing Reed tend to get takedowns and it's like ground and pound or submissions. But to get myself off of a minus 750, minus 800 price tag, I'm going with Dyer. But I took the under, which is like minus 155 instead to shorten the price tag. Because, as I said, all of Elise Reed's losses have been inside the distance. She's 8-5. All of her losses are by finish. So Dyer, go out there, get a finish, look like the second coming or the next British prospect. I want to have that rematch though. That rematch that nobody is asking for except for me. Get Mim Grub. Get Mim Grub to the UFC and let's run that back. Because Mim's made tons of improvements since then. And Mim got to the final bell against her. She's Mim Walmsley now, by the way. She got married. That's why we haven't seen her recently. Good for Mim. Everyone anybody who watches the show is like, who the hell is he talking about?
Mim Grub, legend around those parts.
That's my girl. Yeah, Dyer probably by knockout. Your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, I think Dyer's just too physical, and that's one thing Elise Reed's always dealt with is that in 115 pounds, she's just not the most physical girl going. She has that Taekwondo base, traditional martial arts, likes to maintain her distance, one shot at a time, is capable of keeping volume up, but the second anybody steps in on her, the second anybody ties her up along the cage or forces takedowns, it's like that's where Elite's always struggled right from the get-go. She does actually have a win over Jasmine Jasudavicius, if you can imagine that. But it was Jasmine dropping down to 115, only career fight for Jasmine ever at 115, had a really bad weight cut. And as a result, Elise Reed was able to kind of take advantage and get the win. Outside of that matchup, she's never really won against many other grapplers, being that I just don't think she's all that physically strong. Chanel Dyer is very physically strong. And so I think that in itself might just be the key to victory. But that being said, Chanel Dyer's got an 8% takedown accuracy. Like, I get it. There's only 2 fights. It's a pint-sized portion, but what we saw with Carol Foro is Carol Foro can strike all day long. Gigi Canuto did get a takedown, couple takedowns. Like, that is the path. Gigi Canuto's got excellent grappling, but her wrestling's not anything really to write home about. So Carol Foro probably has somewhat of a lapse in her technical wrestling skills, and yet Chanel Dyer couldn't take her down. Against Ravina Oliveira, well, Ravina Oliveira absolutely can't wrestle, and Chanel Dyer got her down, but it took a few attempts. That 8% takedown accuracy, if she does not take down Elise Reed, and then it ends up just being a striking battle, well, that's actually where Elise Reed thrives. You mentioned that she's got 5 losses all inside the distance. Well, Denise Gomez, pretty good, took her down. Lupi Godinez, pretty good, took her down 5 times. Loma Lugbume, not bad, took her down twice. Sam Hughes, pretty good, took her down 4 times. Sanjara Eubanks on the UFC debut, took her down 1 time. BJJ black belt, gigantic girl. those girls got takedown. Those girls are all like, somewhat ranked contenders, or at least used to be ranked contenders. Chanel Dyer, meanwhile, didn't look good on the Contender Series, where she got knocked down 3 times, albeit against a good opponent. Also really didn't look all that good against Ravina Oliveira in her debut, although she did get the second round finish. If she does not take Elise Reed down, this thing will just be way more competitive than this money line suggesting. It's like minus 750 Dyer. If it stays standing, it ain't gonna look minus 750. If she can force that physicality and get the takedowns, sure, she'll maybe make it look easy, but that's not really who she is.
That's why I didn't bet the minus 750.
I know. So it's like you're saying, you got to find a way to try to either take the round prop, or in this case, under 2.5, it makes sense. It's like maybe Elise can just intercept her with something and put her away. Or flip side to that, you're right. All 5 of her UFC losses are her getting finished inside the distance, mostly when she's getting mauled from top position. So I'm sure Dyer and her team is going to do the research. They're going to look at it. They're going to see what's the easiest path to victory. And that's exactly it. For Reed, meanwhile, she's not fought in about a year. It's like I'm sure she's been working on her defensive grappling skills, but it just once she's on her back, it's never been a good thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what the best way to attack this one is.
I wouldn't blame anybody for taking a Elise Reed money line shot.
I'm like super tempted to do it because it's just way blown out of proportion, but it's the same as last week. It's like I took Ian Gary over Makhachev, and like I don't know. I knew Makhachev was going to be a tough fight for sure, but it's like the line just seemed off. And I'll be honest, going into the 5th round, I felt it was 2-2. And I felt Ian Gary just needs to go out there and stuff the takedowns, land a couple decent shots, squeak this 5th round out and win this fight. Instead, he goes playing, I don't know, giving him hugs and being a cool guy and giving words of wisdom to everybody that walks within 10 feet of him. And it just didn't really seem to have that killer instinct, didn't really seem to go after it. But reading afterwards, there was a lot of people, I'm not going to name their names, some of them are actually friends of mine, but it's like, I can't believe anybody thought Ian Gary had a chance. I can't believe people were picking Ian Gary over Makhachev. It's like, it was a winnable fight. He looked like he could have won the fight.
Yeah, Makhachev doesn't get. I mean, I guess the 2 of the scorecards they gave him 3-1 heading into the 4th, but
yeah.
But I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight, but yeah, I thought 2-2 was very, very possible, and really that fight comes down to Makhachev being able to get the takedown, get to the back, and get the body triangle in.
Yeah.
Which at minus 350, it's just like I was on Makhachev. But my butt was puckered for the last 3 rounds of the fight until he got that back mount. I was like, okay, now I'm probably good. But it's like it's not like I wasn't clicking Makhachev live. I had him in parlays and stuff. And I'm Team Khabib, so I said on the show last week, it's like I wasn't going against Team Khabib, but it's just like I watched that fight and I'm a little bit concerned about how Makhachev's game will translate up to 170 pounds moving forward. He's got a couple heavy hitters coming up in Morales and Prates. Prates is probably the better Matt.
Yeah.
I think Morales is like a big time problem. Judo background, hits like a truck, super, super big, young, durable. I think that's the scariest one. Like Prates getting taken down over and over wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, no, I don't think he made a bad bet there. I mean, everyone likes to I don't know.
Well, it's just easier in hindsight to be. It's just I don't mind. It's like, hey, I picked a guy and he got absolutely smoked. Then the other side's like, ha ha ha, you guys sucked. What a bad call. It's when you lose a close fight or a fight that it's like that underdog fought way better than anybody expected. He had a path. He could have won. And then the side that takes a minus 400 and barely squeak it out, it's all ha ha ha. Well, then whatever. This is the same thing. You could take Chanel Dyer and you could get a close decision victory and laugh at everybody because you bet a minus 750 that barely won. That's fair. Taking
social
the other
media
side is the
that's the problem with social media. Who cares what it that's the thing about it. Like when I look at so many bets, it's just like I make bad bets that win all the time, and I make good bets that lose all of the time. It's just like if I have I mean, Gary wasn't even like at the price that you were betting, like plus 300 and stuff. I don't think that was a bad bet. Like that was basically what was available in live markets for like the last 3 rounds until that back mount happened. And then you're like, okay, well now that ices it. Unless there's like some sort of disgusting robbery. I don't know. I would say get off of social media. Spend way less time on there. I've been doing it, and life's better. Life's better. Well, I'm sorry. Not everyone's terrible, but that's just too many anons with big opinions. And it's just like, I'm in my 40s now. I don't have time for any of that stuff anymore. But anyway, before we go, hit him with the PRP codes.
Hit him with the PRP. We're going to go with Anthony Hernandez, Vitor Petrino, Reinier de Ritter, Mason Jones, Carli Judice, Anthony Wint, Lerryan Douglas, Nzechukwu, dog number 1, Chris Padilla, dog number 2, Marcio Barbosa. Again, there's a value play on the other side there. Stan Dorsonville, dog number 3, Wes Schultz, dog number 4, and Chanel Dyer. The Dyer fight or the Marcio Barbosa fight, like if you had a full card of just those types of matchups, hitting one underdog, hitting 2 underdogs is going to make the whole thing. It's that you got 2 of them.
Wint's a bad one too, man. That's a terrible line.
They're bad lines. They are absolutely bad lines. But that's what a lot of the game is now. It's like, hey, one guy's ultra popular, and we're going to move this line in their favor. Same thing we talked about Anthony Wint earlier. It's like Anthony Wint, when they open the line up against Fat Adams, he's like minus 550. It's like, buddy, remortgage the house. And then all of a sudden he's minus 600. Then he's minus 650. And then within like an hour time frame, he went from minus 600 to minus 1500. Well, now he's just this colossal world beater. He's the next big thing. He's an former NFL player. Okay. Well, who are the other good former NFL players that have transitioned?
Greg Hardy,
and Matt Mitrione, and Brendan Schaub, and
it never really worked out all
Marcus Big Baby Jones.
None of them looked at like he looks good getting off the bus. Like this guy is just jacked. Like Matt Mitrione, like okay, like
meathead.
Yeah. I mean, fairness, the one that's worked out the most, Josh Hokett. But that's because he had a collegiate wrestling pedigree, and he played both sports, right?
Oh, bingo. And you know what? Yeah. So did Brock Lesnar. Like Brock Lesnar is not really my definition of one of the NFL guys because he had already wrestled before that. But yeah, if you're a physical specimen, you're an athletic specimen, and you can wrestle, then it's all good. In Wint's case, he's actually a good high school wrestler. It's just he didn't pursue it at the college level because he was playing football. So no doubt they're going to be able to get him up to speed. It's a heavyweight fight. It's his UFC debut. He fought a week ago, minus 1,000. And Terrance Chatman, not really all that bad. You're expecting him to be worse. So a lot of it's narrative driven. That being said, it's like just because a minus 200 favorite is minus 600, it doesn't necessarily make you want to take the other side, but that is the value side. And if you play the long-term game, then that's what's going to pay off better than chasing these, 2 rich favorites. But that's a conversation for another time. I got to get to the kiddos, get back to the vacation. Paul Shaughnessy, appreciate it as always. And best of luck to everyone playing this week.
That is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody, I'm Paul saying goodbye and good luck.